Getting ready for your grade 12 life sciences exams? Well, you are in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we are cracking the code of life itself, breaking down the must-know concepts of genetics so you can walk into that exam feeling totally confident. So, here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the big mystery of heredity. Then, we'll decode the language of genetics. This part is super important. After that, we'll zoom into your personal blueprint, your DNA, see how traits are actually passed on, and we'll finish up with some killer strategies to help you ace that exam. Let's get into it. All right, let's kick things off with the most basic question in all of genetics. Why on earth do you look like your parents? It's a question that can pop up anywhere, even in a classroom, with a pet snake named Spike. You see, this simple question about a snake gets right to the heart of everything. This is what we call heredity. It's the whole process of how traits, whether we're talking about Spike's patterns or your own eye color, are passed down from one generation to the next. And the science that explains this amazing process? Well, that's called genetics. It's the field of biology that gives us the answers to why Spike has his unique patterns and why you have your specific traits. It is literally the study of the instruction manual for life. Okay, so to understand that instruction manual, we first need to learn its language. I'm not kidding. Mastering these next few terms is the absolute key to unlocking pretty much every genetics question you're going to face. So lean in, pay close attention, because this stuff is foundational. First up is the gene. The easiest way to think about a gene is to imagine it's a single recipe in a giant cookbook. It's a very specific section of your DNA that has the instructions for one particular characteristic, like, say, your hair color or how tall you can get. But what about the different options for that recipe, right? That's where alleles come in. An allele is just a different version of the same gene. So if the gene is the recipe for eye color, then the alleles are the specific variations, like the recipe for blue eyes or the recipe for brown eyes. So here's the key takeaway, the thing you have to lock in. The gene is the overall category, like hair color. The allele is the specific option within that category, like blonde, brown, or red. If you get that difference, you are already way ahead of the game. Next up, genotype. Now, this is the actual genetic code an organism is carrying around inside its cells. We represent it with letters, and those letters stand for the specific alleles it has for a certain trait. This is the behind-the-scenes instruction set. And the result of those instructions? That's the phenotype. The phenotype is what you can actually see, the physical appearance. So if the genotype has the instructions for purple flowers, then the purple flowers that you can actually see, that's the phenotype. So let's just nail this down. Think of it like this. The genotype is the internal plan, right? It's the recipe written in the language of alleles. The phenotype is the final physical product, what is actually built from that recipe. Simple as that. Now, if an organism has two identical alleles for a trait, we call its genotype homozygous. And here's a little tip. The prefix homo just means same. This could mean two dominant alleles, which we show with two capital letters like BB, or two recessive alleles, shown with two lowercase letters like BB. Either way, they're a matching pair. On the other hand, if the two alleles are different, we call the genotype heterozygous. Hetero, of course, means different. This is a mixed pair, like one capital B and one lowercase b. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. In a heterozygous pair, one allele, the dominant one, actually masks the effect of the other one, the recessive one. So even though that little b allele is there in the genotype, you only see the trait for the big B allele in the phenotype. This is how traits can be carried without being seen. So we've been talking about all these genetic codes, but where are they actually located? To find out, we need to zoom in. I mean, way in. We're about to go from the scale of a single cell right down to the molecular blueprint of life itself. Okay, so if we could dive inside the nucleus of almost every single one of your cells, you'd find these thread-like structures called chromosomes. This is where all of your genetic information is packaged up and stored nice and tidy. And here is a key number you absolutely need to remember for your exams. Humans have 46 chromosomes in their body cells. These are organized into 23 pairs. And where do they come from? Well, you get one set of 23 from your mom and the other set of 23 from your dad. So what exactly is a chromosome? It's basically a really, really long molecule of DNA that has been twisted and coiled up super tightly around proteins so that it can actually fit inside the tiny nucleus. Imagine taking a massive library of information and packing it all into a single organized book. So here's how it all fits together, the big aha moment. Think of the chromosome as the book. The DNA is all the text written in that book, and a gene is just one specific recipe, or maybe one paragraph within that text. It's a perfect, neat little hierarchy of information. Okay, so we know the language, we know the structure, but how does this information actually get passed from parents to their children? How do traits continue from one generation to the next? Well, the process is actually pretty amazing. As we've said, you inherit one set of 23 chromosomes from each parent. This means for every single gene, you have 2 alleles. But here's the catch. You can only pass one of those on. How? Through a process called meiosis. Meiosis is how your body creates reproductive cells, sperm or eggs. It cleverly separates your pairs of alleles, making sure that each of those cells has only one allele for each gene. And that's the fundamental reason you pass on exactly half of your genetic information to your child. Now, let's get practical. We've covered a whole lot of theory, but how does this directly translate to you succeeding in your life sciences exam? Let's connect these dots to some real exam strategy. You've learned all the definitions, which is fantastic, seriously. But the real test, as you know, is applying that knowledge when you're under pressure. So how do you use this language to nail the questions and avoid those common, silly mistakes? Here is your exam toolkit. First things first, pay attention to those command words. Define and distinguish are asking for very different things. Second, please master the difference between gene and allele, and genotype and phenotype. These are the most common mix-ups that cost students marks. And finally, never forget the rule of dominance. A dominant allele will always show up if it's there. The only way for a recessive trait to appear is if the genotype is homozygous recessive, if it has 2 copies of that recessive allele. And that brings us to our final and honestly our most important takeaway. If you remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. Understanding the terminology we covered today is the foundation for everything else in genetics. Every single exam question, from the easy to the complex, builds on these core ideas. Master the language, and you will master genetics. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your studies.